A new law conflicts with an existing law. As you might imagine, sometimes a bill in the California legislature with a new statute might conflict with another state law or even federal law. So, how is that generally handled in the legislature and in those specific bills? Now, obviously, under the Federal Supremacy Clause, a federal law prevails over a conflicting state law. So as a result, the state statute would need to be modified to conform to the applicable federal law. So too would a state regulation. Now, during the 2023 session, a bill contemplated the possibility of conflict with federal law. And so the following language was included in that bill. It said, in the event this section conflicts with federal law, the department shall adopt regulations to conform to federal law. Now, that seems pretty obvious. In most instances, however, the potential conflict is perhaps with another state law. Now, how is that addressed? I saw four such bills during the 2023 California legislative session, with three of those measures addressing the potential conflict with a section of state law. Now, as you might imagine, one of two approaches has to be taken. Either the new statute prevails or the existing statute prevails. As you might imagine, in most instances, the legislature is going to specify that the new statute prevails. And this is consistent with one of our canons of statutory construction, i.e., a more earlier or an earlier statute will prevail over the earlier statute when the two statutes conflict. Now, the standardized language used generally in California legislation starts with the phrase, in the event of a conflict with. And we can find examples of this type of language in California bills. So, for example, I found one that said, in the event of a conflict with other provisions of law, this section shall govern the disbursement of money collected pursuant to this section and from the Abandoned Vehicle Trust Fund for the implementation of this program. Now, in this example, the new statute obviously is intended to prevail over any other existing statute that may be in conflict. Now, sometimes a different approach is taken, such as the following. In the event of a conflict between this chapter and a provision listed in subdivision B, the provision in subdivision B shall control. In that example, the new statute does not prevail. Instead, the existing statute will be given effect where there's a conflict between these two code sections. Now, in other instances, the conflict may be dealt with by using a general statement rather than identifying a specific code section. Here's an example of that. In the event of a conflict between this chapter and any other state law, the provisions of the law that afford the greatest protection for the right of privacy for consumers shall control. So in this example, when there's a conflict, the determination has to be made which law affords the greatest protection. As a result, rather than pick the section that controls in advance, a determination will instead have to be made regarding whether the new statute or the existing statute will actually dictate the outcome.